Zippy and everyone, notes should accompany you everywhere. Never leave home without it. Never get on a phone interview without them. Never get on a video interview without them. However, how you use your notes, there's two dimensions here. If they are notes that you have prepared, so there's different kind of notes you take, right? There's notes I prepared to package my interview responses. Never look at those, ever. You never want to look to a script to respond to an interview. I'm not even going to go into any more detail on that. Don't do it. Second thing is, I created notes because during the discussions, you said something that I wanted to capture. Now, if I'm asking you questions, right, phone interview, video interview, in-person interview, panel interview, doesn't make any difference, and you're talking to me, right, I'm the candidate, I'm making my notes. Oh, you said something interesting. You jot your note down in whatever shorthand you want to put it in, just so that you retain the information, or you're reminding yourself that you need to ask them something but don't want to interrupt them. Okay? Now, I might collect all that during an interview and I might not get to stop you, or I might determine that the note I took is not nearly as important as me getting this other question answered. Okay? So I might get it later. Those kind of notes, bring back or bring to the next phone interview or video interview or whatever. Say, hey, you mentioned something the other day, and I jotted it down. It was so important because I wanted to make sure I followed up on this. Or, Susie mentioned something when I was on the phone with her. I thought it would be really good to ask you about this, right? If you are using them to refer back to something that you previously talked about, gold. Okay. Third kind, the notes you take related to the questions you want to ask. So these may or may not be notes. Maybe they're your list of questions. Maybe it's a spreadsheet. Maybe it's a Word document. Maybe it's a legal pad or whatever. It should not be your phone or your iPad or your computer or anything where you have to look at a screen. Paper. You can type it or you can write it, but print it. Bring that in. Then if they say, hey, Andy, do you have any questions for me? I do. As a matter of fact, glance at your thing. Don't read the question to them. Glance at it. Okay, I know what that question is. Hey, I wanted to ask you about. Great. Take your notes. Go down. I wanted to ask you about. And go through them. Okay? But that is okay. So you prepped and you wrote out things about, your stories and things you want to remember. Don't ever refer to those. If they're notes that you made in hand-to-hand combat in the dialogue, you can jot those down, you bring those in. If they were notes that you made in preparation for questions you want to ask, bring those in. Okay, it's okay. Have paper. Okay, why don't you want screens? Multiple reasons. Number one, you never, ever, under any circumstance, want to bring anything in that can cause any kind of distraction to you or them. You forgot to silence the alarms. The phone rings. Right? You're looking at your phone or your iPad and your wife texts you. Okay? Like don't do any of that stuff. Second thing is they don't know what you're looking at. They might think you're not paying attention to them. Okay? So you just don't chance that. Okay? Just don't chance that at all. Paper is the way to go. So you can type it out and then print the paper, or you can handwrite it out and print it. It doesn't make any difference, but just don't use an electronic device. It's a big, big mistake. Big mistake. And when you are on a video interview, let's go one further as a bonus tip here. When you're on a video interview, do not put your stuff in the screen. Why? It might look like, well, it's easier. Look, there's everything right there. The problem is, what happens if all of a sudden you lose your video, but audio work? This happens. I do Zoom sessions every day with people in my one-on-one coaching. Half the time they can't get their video or audio to work. Okay, but we keep going. We figure out a way. They're dialing in the phone. They're doing whatever. You just never know. You do not want to rely on technology. Not to mention, again, I don't want to see things flashing on the screen or whatever. They might not be able to see it. But still, it could distract you. Okay? Right now on my machine, Okay, there's the operating software, there's the YouTube thing, so I can make sure that there we go, there's the guy, and I can see him moving and everything looks like there's a green light there. It tells me everything's working. I have a communication with my team because they got to tell me, Andy, you forgot something or whatever, but everything else is shut. Okay, I make sure that the mic audio, I can see that's working, so everything is only for purposes to make sure that this works. Okay, you need to make sure that you're not doing anything to distract you. Okay, and so but notes are very important. And as a matter of fact, I kind of get a little bummed when people don't take notes. You're never going to remember everything I tell you. You won't. You won't. So do it. It's really a great one. And Zippy, I'm glad that things went well. I'm glad you are blowing them away, and I'm wishing you lots of luck.